Welcome to Crossing the Alameda, the podcast where we reconnect with the Santa Clara University class of 1991, and we get to hear stories of who we were back then and who we've become since. Every episode is a chance to catch up with a classmate, share a few Santa Clara memories, and find out where life has taken them since graduation. I'm Kari Morin. I'm so glad to be here today, and I am joined by one of my favorite classmates and co-hosts, A.J. Riebli. How you doing today?
Good morning, Kari. Doing great.
Good morning.
I'm happy to be here.
Good. And we want to give a quick shout out to our other co-hosts, Mike Klein and Charles Michelet, who couldn't be with us today. We miss them, and they wish they could be here. And we'll catch you both on the next one. All right, AJ, you have the honor of introducing our guest.
Yes. I'm very excited this morning to introduce our guest, my friend, a friend of the Santa Clara University, a friend of the football and baseball teams at Santa Clara, Bill Rainey, a.k.a. William E. Rainey III, to be exact. I roped him in. Billy, I'm so happy you're here this morning.
Yeah, it's
Billy,
good to meet you guys. Yeah.
Good morning, man. Hey, Bill came to Santa Clara straight out of San Jose, so he didn't go too far from home, but I can't wait to get into how he ended up at Santa Clara. Since, Bill's still in San Jose today. So at SCU, Billy called Swig and the Villa Apartments home. Shout out to the Villas. That's a new one for the program today.
Really? That's awesome.
Well, that's good. We can't wait to hear about the
Villas.
Villas.
They're still there, man. They're still there, if you can believe it. Yeah.
So somewhere between studying and social life, Bill also managed to play D1 football and, wait a minute, baseball. So I can't wait to hear about that. These days,
Slacker.
Very much a slacker. Bill these days is general counsel for SciComp here in the Silicon Valley. He's been a lawyer for over 30 years. Apparently, I just found this out today. He started out his career as a deputy public defender in Santa Clara County. Newsflash.
Wow.
Very interesting. Bill apparently went to UOP Law School. So we're going to get into this. It's going to be great. Bill is at SciComp. He's been there for, I think, the last 6 years.
6 years. Yep.
And he's working along fellow Bronco and baseball player, Tom White, classmate Tom White.
Yep.
Shout out Tommy White.
Tom White he'll be excited. They get a shout out here.
He and his wife Libby have been married for 27 years and have 2 great kids. His daughter Caitlin is finishing her master's in sport and performance psychology at the University of Denver. And William IV, is a senior at Providence College, and he's on the track and field team. And go Big East. Love it.
Yeah,
go Providence.
Right.
So stoked about that.
Xavier. Yeah.
And if that wasn't enough, Bill in his spare time has been coaching football at Bellarmine Prep for the last 20 plus years. So
not all at Bellarmine. I've been at Bellarmine for like 6 years. I was at some public schools. I was public schools before that. Yeah, then
excellent.
Bellarmine.
We'll get into it. We're going to get into it. Can't wait. Hey, Bill, welcome to Crossing the Alameda.
Thank you, guys. Thanks. It's really nice to see you guys. It's going to be fun today, I think. To clarify, I don't live in I live in San Jose, but I literally live in the Rose Garden. I live 5 minutes away from campus.
Oh, wow.
So
I love it.
Yeah, my wife walks the campus all the time. Like that's her walk. She goes and walks around, and she's actually an adjunct professor at Santa Clara to tie all Santa Clara stuff in the teaching. They have a teaching program. So she does. She's like an advisor for students in that program and an observer or something like that. So so it's cool. So full Santa Clara love still.
The Rose Garden gets a lot of shout outs because everyone liked to run there. It was a good 2 mile. There's 2 miles back. My sister lived there after Santa Clara too. That was lovely.
Awesome. Yeah, I lived in Willow Glen. Then I lived in like Saratoga area. Then we moved back. I always kind of wanted to live here after going to Santa Clara because of the same reason, Kari. We walked around, and not that I was doing any jogging around the area, but we just kind of cruising around there. I was like, this area is sweet. So,
it's gorgeous. And it's cool. One of those neighborhoods that just doesn't change. It stays really, really
it's the same.
Kind of.
I'm talking to you guys right now from my house was built in 1912, and I'm in my basement of my 1912 house, Craftsman house from down here in the Rose Garden. So it's kind of bizarre from being in the techno world in this old house. So it's cool.
Yes.
Yeah.
Mine's 1908 in Portland.
Oh, you got me beat. Oh, there you go. That's awesome.
Not as charming as the Rose Garden, but it definitely reminds me of it. All
I
right,
live
I
in a
get to start us off.
1944 house. Sorry, I'm
Oh, there you
sorry.
go. I love it.
My
man.
house
That's
is
awesome.
the
That's
newest
so
house in the
modern.
block.
Yeah,
So
that's
modern.
awesome.
A little California bungalow, 1944.
Oh,
Yeah,
lovely.
no.
We didn't know we were gonna have an architectural tour, but here we go.
Yeah, I know
I
exactly.
know.
Sucks.
Here we go.
Exactly.
We could just like start walking
No,
around
yeah,
our
so
houses.
I'm
Let's just do
still
that.
kind of around Santa Clara. I go to like 1 or 2 basketball games a year, and I go to a baseball game here and there. The new stadium is awesome. And I was at the Golden Circle a couple weeks ago, or like with that Santa Clara related. So I still kind of, and I have no excuse to not to be somewhat involved. I'm not as involved as I would thought I would be, perhaps, but maybe that's because of the lack of some of the sports that are there anymore. It's not as interesting. We don't have to talk about that on the show, but
It
We
could
can talk
be
about that.
how busy you might be.
yeah, there's some of that going on. Well, empty nesters now, right? So the girl that you saw, as AJ explained, like my daughter's in grad school in Denver, and my son is back east. He's actually running his last indoor 300 at some point this morning here. So it's because it's the season's almost over, right? So then 300 is kind of a weird event. So it's like a small. He's at Brown University, where I ran into Jack Kelly, Tom Kelly's son, a couple years ago. I looked over, I'm like, that kid, I've seen him on social media, and it was him. Very small,
Wow.
ironic, crazy. Another Santa Clara class of 1990. Tom Kelly, shout out to him. Super
Wow.
successful guy. Talked to him occasionally. Saw him recently at
That's
a Santa
exciting.
Clara function. So very
By
funny.
the way, we'll just pile on to the Tom Kelly accolades for a moment.
Yeah.
Tom Kelly was just named to the board of directors for USA Rugby this week.
Oh, no
So,
way. Oh, nice.
As my fellow teammate, we'll just give Tom Kelly a bunch of love. Hey, TK,
Yeah, exactly.
we're proud
Yeah.
of you.
Big
Way to
ups,
go.
dude.
Love you, brother. And
We'll have to tell him to watch our 1991.
TK is actually at Santa Clara this weekend because it's parents weekend at Santa Clara this weekend.
Oh, no way. Oh, that's funny. Oh, that's very cool. That's very cool. You know, I didn't play. I played rugby in law school, AJ. I've told you this, and I think it might be my best sport. I was a decent baseball,
You know what,
decent
Billy?
football player.
I bet you were. I can see that. I can see that.
Rugby might be my favorite, and it might be my best. That was pretty funny. So I think I've told you that before, because it's one of my rugby stories. But it's a good game. Good
game.
Yeah, great game.
And by the way,
Well-
Ireland! Shout out to Ireland. Ireland beat England this morning. I got
Oh,
up at
no
6
way. Oh,
o'clock
that's
this
cool.
morning.
Saw that.
Six
Nice.
Nations. They played Ireland in Twickenham this morning, or actually 5 o'clock there, and Ireland thrashed England. I was not prepared for that, but good win for the boys in green today. So there you go.
That's very cool.
We're covering it
I
all.
went to a sevens tournament once, and that I played a sevens tournament 2 times. That's a sport that's a little much for me. That's a little too much cardio for me. That was real. That was the real brother. That was tough.
You're telling me I'm not built for sevens.
No.
Not built for sevens. I'm built for tens though. Tens my game. That gives me enough coverage that I can at least get across the field without falling down. So
that's all.
I'm a tens guy.
Awesome.
Big format. That's a good format.
Right. I'm going to start us off with the back then questions, and I'm glad this is my first one because I'm curious about this. What led you to choosing Santa Clara? Like, I'm wondering if it was sports or something else.
Oh yeah, I mean it was definitely sports related. It's a crazy. It was actually funny. I was thinking about this, not related to this podcast, but like some other reason recently. But it was actually the most picking my school for me, college for me was the most. I lost like 20 pounds my senior year of high school. Like it was in between. I mean it was like I didn't really make my final decision until after kind of baseball season because I was a baseball guy. But I was like so stressed out because I knew at the time it was going to be the most important decision of my life, like up until that point. And I had a lot of pressure. I got into Columbia. I was going to go to Columbia back in New York. I went on a trip there. I loved it. Well, my dad was a little bit sick. My dad had heart problems, and he passed away like 10 years after I graduated college. But I knew that if I went far away, it'd be hard to kind of see him a lot. So I kind of stayed around. So that was my final decision why I stayed in Santa Clara. But I was going to go to Cal Poly. Though I was going to go to UC Davis for football, Cal Poly for football. I had a full ride for baseball to UW, and that was a hard one. And my dad, the same kind of related story. I had a full ride for UW baseball, but they wouldn't let me play football. They weren't great, but they played in the Kingdom, which would have been epic to play in. That's what they played back in the day. So the guys like, listen, I'm offering you a full ride, which is kind of odd in baseball. And I was like, this is really weird. They weren't great. Santa Clara, we would have beat them, I think, back in the day. But the guys, I go, listen, my dad's a professor at UCSF Medical School. he wants me to come see the campus. Can you give me a trip up there? I'll just come and my dad will fly on his own dime. The guy goes, no. He goes, we're not giving you a trip. And I was like, what? And he was just a surly old coot. He was like an old coach. So I was like, you know what? Forget you. I'm not going there. So, it ended up being everything worked out like it's supposed to work out. But that's how then the real reason I went to Santa Clara was for the baseball program. I knew those coaches a little bit. And it was really Terry Malley, who was the football coach that I knew from camps and stuff. And I went to Santa Clara football camps, and he did a camp at my high school at Oak Grove High School in San Jose. And we just kind of clicked from minute one. And I really went to Santa Clara. I think he was the guy that pushed me over the edge to go there. And I knew it was a good school. I knew the people went to Santa Clara, for the super successful folks, and it ended up being the case for everywhere I went. And it was always good, but it was definitely sports related. And it came down to the last minute. I was down to Columbia, and then it was because they were going to let me play both sports. They weren't really good. It would had I gone to Columbia, I would have won 0 football games and like 7 baseball games in 4 years, like literally. They were in a horrible streak, but it would have been. I love New York City. Ironically enough, I've been in New York a million times, my favorite city and probably in the world. I've been there a bunch. So it's kind of ironic how I full circled all the way back to loving New York and going to New York all the time and not going there for school. But that's how, and it was really Terry Malley, to give him a big shout. He was the guy why I went to Santa Clara in the final.
That's so cool.
Hey, Bill, I didn't know that you that you would have gone to Columbia. My little brother played football at Columbia.
No way. Oh, that's so
Yep.
funny. Yeah.
My little brother played strong safety at Columbia,
Yeah.
and he was on that
That's what I would have
team.
played. Yeah.
He was on that team that broke the streak.
Finally won a game. Yeah.
Yep, Mighty Lions, man. He was there.
That is awesome. Yeah, that's a crazy story. Yeah. No, that's awesome. Yeah. I kind of part of my reason my son ended up going to the East Coast, and he was kind of nervous. I'm like, dude, don't make the same as, like, this is like the full circle stories of life. Like, like I was like, hey, dude, like, if you have any interest doing it, change it up. Like, you're gonna be like, of course, I'm like, hey, when you go back there, Will, they're gonna call you Callie for the first 3 weeks. And the second night, he's like, dude, how did you know? I go, what? He goes, everyone calls me Callie. I go, just because I just know a little bit about a lot of stuff, brother. But like, so he ended up going, and I was actually proud of him that he ended up on the East Coast like your son did, AJ. Like, it's just it was a different experience. It's like going to a different country. I mean, it's so different. He's in Providence, Rhode Island, and it's just so different. So, but it was a good.
Providence is cold. I mean, it's funny because
Yeah.
I ended up going up there because I remember going to my little brother's last game was at Brown. So it's funny when he ran in DK's kid. We went to Brown, and it was so cold. And I was like, oh my God, I don't know if I could have hacked it, but yeah, I think that narrative of changing it up is super great. So hey, let's talk a little bit about D1 football and baseball. I mean, how did you manage 2 sports? Like what positions
To clarify,
did you play?
let me clarify. Santa Clara football, because everyone on your podcast will be talking crap to us. Santa Clara football was D2, Division 1 baseball, but Division 2 football. And there's people on this that will see.
Yeah. Okay, fair point. And I'm glad you clarified that. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you very much for clarifying that. Yes.
My bad. My bad. I made that mistake in the notes.
That's okay. No, so I mean, yeah.
What positions did you play? And like, and how did you manage being a 2-sport athlete? Because I think anybody just biting off one, collegiate sport is a lot, and to balance that workload and your studies and have a life. I mean, it's a huge commitment. So, like,
it was a lot.
What positions did you play, and how did you manage that at SCU?
I was the free safety on the football team for 4 years. I played some corner my first year, but I was a punt returner. I was the holder. Like, I played a bunch of different, because I was a high school quarterback, right? So, but I knew I was a high school quarterback. I was a defensive back being a high school quarterback. I was never really a quarterback. As a kid I was, but not really in high school. But and then in baseball, I was a catcher. So I played behind Troy Buckley, who's still a friend, and he was a 2-time All-American, and he was a big bopper, and I was a little guy, a little scrappy. I was a defensive catcher. That's what I was known for. I could throw and I could block the ball, and I was a good high school baseball player, good high school hitter, but the slider in Division 1 baseball kind of got me. And the guys that see this podcast will kind of laugh because they knew, and all the pitchers knew just to throw me a hard slider away, and I was a sucker for that pitch. But I mean, it's really, it's like, it's when I talk about the guys I coach in Bellarmine and even before that, like it's all time management, dude. Like I knew from just from growing up, same thing from high school and from just like it was all managing my time. I had a schedule. I was like super regimented. People will laugh. My roommates will be laughing right now, but I had like a routine. I just still have a routine to this day. I get up every day. I work out. Like I get up and I have my cup of coffee. Then I go. I actually work from home 4 days a week, so I'm sitting in the same seat I'm sitting in right now, and I just crank away for freaking 10 hours a day. But it's just time management, right? So and that's what it was in college. And I think I missed out. I mean, I know we talked before the podcast started with Kari about, it was like being in two fraternities because for me, I was first part of the year was it was football guys, right? And then I would have to automatically, and I was doing stuff, a little bit of baseball in between. I'd go and on my own and take batting practice on the weekends, on Sundays, like missing study time. And I'd go back to my old high school because I had a key to the batting cage and load up the batting and hit there. I never even told anyone that, but I did that for years. And, and, but it's really all time management. And it's the same thing I tell the Bellarmine students now. I'm like, dude, like this is like a job. Like, it's the best thing. It's the best experience. It's going to be great for your life lessons. These guys you're playing with will be your buddies. They'll all be in your weddings, blah, blah, blah. Like it's true though. It turns out that way all the time. But it's like it's time management, and it was time management then. So I kind of missed out on some of the fun stuff on fourth floor swig where I habitated with Selma Louie, as we called him. With Brian Selma was my roommate freshman year,
Oh,
and he was a football player. He was a teammate of St. Francis. I played those guys all the time in high school. Him and Mark Modest, another good friend of mine who's still a football guy. He's coaching high school coach in Maryland. But it was really I mean I probably stayed out of more trouble that way because I knew I had to study to get my studies done, and I knew baseball was coming around the corner, so there was no break time. So I had that full schedule the whole time. I would advise it to other people. I know a couple kids I coached in high school. They're trying to do the double like this, and kudos to them. It's real. So, and it's not easy.
He- I'm just
So
such
did you play
admiration.
baseball? Did you play baseball all 4 years as well?
No, I stopped. So what happened my senior year? So I redshirted my freshman year of football. So I redshirted. So all of us did. I think all the freshmen redshirted. Now
Yep.
even then. So we redshirted, and then I played freshman. I played a ton as a freshman because it was just me and Troy, which is great. I caught like Greg Gore. Shout out to Greg Gore, class of 1990, first round pick of the MLB draft for the Detroit Tigers. My other claim
Great
to fame is
Tigers.
I answered the phone when Sparky Anderson called the house when he got drafted. No joke. I think Greg let me do it because I also caught Greg's only no hitter in college. Also, those are my only two claim to fame in baseball. That's it. Well, but I played it through my junior year, but I knew I was going to be the captain of the football team. I thought I was. I was pretty sure I'd be the captain, and I was the captain of the team. So I kind of talked to Mally, and I'm like, I think I'm going to step away from baseball. And he said, that's probably a good idea if you want to be the captain. So it was kind of like, dude, you want to be the captain, you gotta go. Because I never did spring football, so there was never spring football with those guys. So
Oh wow.
so I did spring football my senior year, and then I had another year of football.
You did. You
So I
came
did.
back for that next year, right?
Yeah, I came back for next year. I didn't play baseball my last year, which was hard because it was weird, and I was living with Howie Kennedy, who's still playing, who's a great baseball player, still a friend of mine. He's a class of '91 at Santa Clara.
Howie
So
Kennedy, by the way, hey Billy, you might not know this. I used to play Howie Kennedy in CYO basketball back in the
yeah,
day.
I know. He was like me. He grew big. He was like early grower. We were like big guys when we were little, and then we stopped growing in like eighth grade.
He was shaving and driving himself to eighth grade games. No,
totally. No, I know. We joke about that. I still see him. His daughter runs track at UC Santa Barbara, so I ran into him at the California State Track Championships. It was really funny timing. It's awesome.
He's such a great guy and such a memorable. I just laugh when you kind of start putting all those things together,
Yeah.
In Santa Clara and going, it's such a small world, right? And you're like, oh yeah, I remember that guy when he used to play at, I think it was St. Rose or St. Eugene's, but yeah, Howie, man,
Yeah.
such a good man.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
No, it's very funny.
Shout out Howie.
Yeah.
We're gonna get you on the show.
Big love. Yeah, exactly. He's super successful. He's a Charles Schwab big hitter there for a long time. He's a shed no tears for Howie Kennedy's done. He's done very well. Yeah. No, it's good stuff. He'll laugh if he sees this. We'll give him a shout out for it's awesome.
For sure.
You're shouting out some of the nicest people too.
Yeah. No, that's really Santa Clara's story, right? Like I was thinking about this podcast a little bit like not that I just, I can talk for hours, but it's like the real, the down deep on the real Santa Clara is like the people. And I'll use one of the bell. I'm not a super religious guy, as you can probably tell, but but the Bellarmines kind of is men foreign with others, and like that's their saying, and we kind of repeat that to the players all the time. But it's kind of the Santa Clara Jesuit thing also, right? Like it's there's just good people, dude. Santa Clara just had great people. Like anyone you talk to, they're still super. A lot of them are successful, which is great, but it's less about being successful and more about just being a good person. And that's
Seriously.
that's like the real story of Santa Clara. That's what people always know that, like, oh, dude, you're a Santa Clara guy. Oh yeah, I know this so and so. It's one of my best friends. And everyone's like, oh, he's one of my best friends. One of my best friends. So it's really that's kind of the story behind. I think that, but kind of why I ended up at Santa Clara, because that was my relationship with Mally. I got really close to him really quickly, and it was kind of cool. So
That's awesome. I love that.
yeah,
I want to talk a little bit about academics too, because you
yep,
mentioned, which I think is fun for a finance major, you mentioned Father Cause and a contemporary Judaism
yeah.
professor. That's a fascinating pairing. What
Yeah,
did those
no, it's
two?
great. No, so I'll give you the story. Cause was great. I mean, AJ, I'm sure, was a Cause fan.
Yes.
I took every one of his classes. It was known to man. He actually, the best part is he took pictures also. He was a photog, and he took my best picture. It's on my wall in my workout room, my weight room here. It's a cool picture of me hammering some guy from Cal Poly or Humboldt. I can't even tell who it is, but it's a full illegal. I'd been thrown out of every football game I played. And I was a guy that was a headhunter kind of guy, and I would have been thrown out of any football game now I played in it's a picture from Cos. He gave it one day. He just, Mr. Rainey, here I have something for you. It was a picture. It was a black and white picture like this big of me just smashing some guy with my like a forehead shot to the guy's head. The guy's head's bounded back, and of course it's a cool picture of my LA crew. Dave St. Clair in the background, Pat Dowd, and Dan O'Neill. Those are all guys that AJ knows. And so they're kind of in the background. So it's a cool pick, and it's in my room. I just look at it often. I think of Father Cos and then all my LA cronies, which is pretty funny. But and then so Cos was great. Like Cos was, I mean, he just kind of got it. And he was cool, and everyone knew. We all knew that grades were always going to not be a problem with Father Cos, which is why we kind of we took his classes. But it was entertaining, and he was definitely an entertaining guy, and all the rugby guys loved him. And it was just a great situation. But the other class was my other hidden gem. I told everyone else after me. It was contemporary Judaism, but they called it Jews for Jocks. That was the joke name, because the rabbi who was the best guy ever, I think his name was Rabbi Plout. I actually just remembered his name. It just came to me of my Rabbi Plout, he was the best part of it. He was the rabbi at the synagogue right by Bellarmine, and I drive by it all the time when I go to practice. I'm sure he's not still there, because I'm not sure he's still around, because he was a long time ago. But he loved athletes, right? So he loved sports. He'd come to our games, and I only took one class with him, and he was like the best guy. Because as you know, you could tell people who care, like kind of gravitate. I'm an emotional, like, high energy guy, and I like people that care. That's why people on my team at work, I'm like, dude, if you show me that you care, I'll freaking die for you on the field. And he was one of those guys. Like, he's a guy you could just tell, like, he cared about his students. He cared about teaching us a little bit about a kind of a different world for it's all Catholic guys, and at Santa Clara mostly, and it was just cool to see, like, it was all kind of through his sport. He was like, he loved sports, so we would go to his house and like try to talk about he invited to his house like 2 times in like one semester or whatever, quarter or whatever he went. It was really weird. So I forgot. I don't remember who I was with. There was another athlete with me. I forget who it was now. But we went to the house for dinner with mom, kids, and it was great. And I was like, this guy's awesome. And he would come to the games, wait till after the game. Hey, Bill, just want to let you know I was at your game today. Both baseball and football. It was crazy. It was very cool.
That's so neat.
That's how I picked those 2 guys, which was kind of random. And AJ knows why I picked Father Cos, because Cos was very friendly to us. But the other guy,
but Cos was a man of God. I mean, I think Cos is a humanist, and I think he meant a lot to a lot of people. A lot of people across the spectrum. I think, if you met Father, I mean, he gets a lot of play on this show, but I think he was so much of a cheerleader and a fan of the student body and the school, and a proud Jesuit, but also somebody who lived a life before becoming a Jesuit. And I think that's something we sometimes forget, is that,
that helps.
Oh man, Jesuits are people too before they put the collar on. And there's still people after they have the collar on, by the way, as well. So I think we should always remember that,
Yeah. No, it's
So,
awesome.
hey, Billy, we're asking a question that, and actually, I can't wait for this because I think you probably got an interesting answer to this. But we talk a little bit about time and place, and earthquake, 1989.
Oh, dude. Oh, bro.
October
Yeah.
17th. I'm sure it was an interesting day where you were. So,
Okay, so
how did that go for
this
you?
day, okay, so I literally that's so funny because it's one of my stories. I have some go-to stories, bro. This story, like where I was on the football field, and this is for any of the young kids that are watching this podcast, probably nobody, but like this is of course before any videotape, like any phones or anything like that. If I had, I always tell my kids and like my buddies' kids and all, I'm like, dude, if you guys saw what I saw on the field, like that day, like even to explain to you guys, I'll have to explain like so we're at practice at Buckshaw, okay, and the ground, I swear to God, and I know AJ's probably heard the story of some other guys on the team. The ground, there were waves in the ground. Like look at grass and then pretend it was the ocean because 5-foot waves. I swear to God, and I literally I remember I don't know who I was saying next to, probably Modest or someone. I was like, bro, this is the end of the world. We're either gonna live because we have our freaking helmets on, or we're gonna get it's the fucking end of the world, right? Like it was like the ground was like 5-foot waves. I swear to God, waves like 5 feet off the ground. Like it looked like the grass was going like this. No joke. Coach Modest, Mark's dad, who's probably like our age at the time now, he to the ground, fell down. It was so shaky. Like the pool, the towers, the stadium towers, like 100 feet each way. Like I'm like, how are they not breaking? Like I literally, it was like to us because we were like, we're like 15 miles from the epicenter. Like it was crazy, and I literally, I can't even explain the magnitude of the ground. What I saw on the ground that day, like, and I'm like, dude, these people are like thousands of people have to die. Like this is, I didn't realize that we were in the epicenter, but like it was so remarkable. And I remember hearing people running out of the some of the buildings because it was like 5 o'clock or whatever, right? So there wasn't a lot of classes in. But the craziest, so that was all that happened in the field. We're like, what the hell? This is the end of the world. We start getting stuff, and then we go into the craziest part of my story, the little nugget for the sports related stuff is like we go into the locker room and like we're like everyone's like stunned, dude. It's like shaking. We're like, fuck, what, like the freaking, we heard the Bay Bridge collapse. Like I believed, and everything I heard was like, dude, it's crazy that more people didn't die because it was so crazy. So then we go into the locker room and we go into like to the training room or whatever just to talk to those guys and get their take on it because we thought they had more. And we see this swimmer guy. Like, I don't know if he was a swimmer or he's a water polo. I forget it was probably water polo at the time.
Yeah.
Dude, he was all scratched up. Like, he looked like he got like run over by a car. I'm like, did something fall on him? Because, he was like kind of moaning and stuff. What happened to this guy? This guy was like probably 6'1", 180 pounds in the pool. Zoop, 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 out of the pool. He got launched out of the pool onto the side of the deck and scratched his arm all up. I don't know if he was our year. I don't know what year he was. It was just some kid. It's some guy that I didn't even know who he was. Totally scratched up, like he got like ground up by like he fell off a motorcycle, like crazy. And I was like, what the heck? Yeah, that's my real part. Then the stories get crazier and they're a little more colorful, like later in the day, because then we went home. And then we realized that like the dorms were all like, this is our junior year, right? So the dorms were all closed. Like there was no like plan for anyone. And there was like, we had parties, as you guys remember, right? And there were like parties, but so I lived on that was my junior year. I lived with Rick B and Keena from the baseball team. Shout out to Rick. He was a transfer from UCLA. So he's age a year ahead of us, but he was our year, graduated 91 from Santa Clara, super successful guy, great guy. Shout out to Rick. He and I lived together we lived with Lewis the year before at the Villas. Mark Lewis, also shout out to Mark Lewis, and my buddy Mark Scadina, he transferred in from UC Davis. He's my lifelong best friend, so he kind of came to Santa Clara, hang out with us, and he was a super successful GC of FICO. Big shout out to Mark Scadina. But going back to the actual day, I just had to get a shot to my dorm, my former housemates, but back to the day with Rick and I, for some reason, our little shack on Villa, we had an apartment on Villa, on Lafayette, the road on Lafayette, down by Normandy House, the pizza parlor.
Yep.
We had our phones, like old school for all the young guys. We had like I don't think we had electricity, but our freaking phones worked. Like they plugged the hardline phones. So even the nice part of me, all these kids, all the kids from all the guys from Washington and Oregon, all the students, it was mostly girls at the time. They were like walking around. I felt bad for them. I'm like, hey, you guys, do you want to like, my phone works. And they're like, they were so happy. They were like crying because I'm sure they were worried about their parents freaking out about them. So for like a steady, I remember our phone bill. I remember it got sent to my mom. She's like, what happened? Why is your phone bill so expensive? I'm like, Mom, it's a special. It was very funny little side story, but I let these girls, like it was mostly girls because the guys are not as sensitive as girls are and like smart, and like now having a boy and a girl, girls are like maturity level of 3x on guys. So they like knew that their parents would be, the girls were worried, knew that their parents were going to be worried about them. So for like an hour plus 2 hours, I was like stream of girls calling Seattle, Portland. It was like LA. And I'm like, you guys have like a couple minutes. Don't go crazy on the phone, whatever. Cause I had no money. It was like, dude, this is like long distance calls. Anyway, but that was my do-gooder part of that day. But then we went partied and it was crazy. We ended up playing, I can't remember what day. Was it a Tuesday? Was the 17th the Tuesday? I think it was a Tuesday.
It was the World Series too. Yep.
Yeah, it was world. But I think that we ended up playing that weekend. I don't think we won, but it was really weird. It was like Dreamscape because half the lights were missing. I think we played at Santa Clara that Saturday night. It was like weird, and it was like no one in the game, and it was like really low. Half the lights were out, so it was like weird. Like the lighting was already crappy at Buckshaw, as you probably remember. But it was like, I'm like, dude, it was like a yellow weird game. It was just weird. Everything, and you guys remember this? Like everything was just weird about the school. Like everyone's walking around like zombies, right? Like it was like zombie land for weeks after that or months after that. So
I wasn't
that's
there. I was
that's my
studying
earthquake
abroad.
story.
Yeah.
No, I actually love these stories, and I added this question because I wasn't there. We were hearing about it. You know, I was studying abroad, and so I was with the Santa
No
Clara
way.
group,
Oh yeah.
and we were all
I mean, it was yeah.
freaking out.
Yeah, it was freaky, dude. It was like now I can't like if I would give anything to like because no one could believe me. Everyone's like, yeah, okay, the ground. Like I swear to God, 5-foot waves in the grass, and the cement the same thing. Like it was so mind-boggling. Like you can't even think that like physics or whatever. Like it was so shocking to me, and I've never seen anything like it since then. And I remember telling like everyone, the guys, I'm like, dude, we're never gonna see this shit again in our life. It was crazy.
But you know what? It's so funny, Bill, because you're about the 8th person I know that said that that's what the grass did, right? Yeah. Like it was like being at the ocean, yeah. And I can't imagine. I mean, imagine sharing that experience, but also seeing what you saw. But you know, also like your story is like verified by multiple outside sources. Yeah. Like it's not like hey, this is a thing. It's like
freaking real, dude, bro.
You understand?
Yeah.
The grass was rippling, and I can imagine only being 15, 16 miles from the epicenter, like, you know, being thrown to the ground was probably, you know, it was a real thing. I mean, it's unbelievable. I still to this day, I'm like, I tell all the kids I coach and like my buddies' kids, and I'm like, and my kids, of course, they've heard the story a million times. It's like, it was so like, it's so like beyond the realm of like, you think it's like, how is the ground doing that? Like it's still for this day, whatever, 40 years later, whatever, 35 years later, it's just crazy. It's just to see what we saw was mind boggling. So anyway,
when we were back, there was all these aftershocks still happening, and I remember freaking out and seeing everyone who had been there being like, "That's nothing."
It's nothing. No, exactly.
That's nothing.
And I grew up here, like we said, so I'd gone through a few big ones before that, but like that was to a whole new level. And now I was in my office in Foster City, a little earthquake, and I'm like, and they're like, "Oh my God!" People start freaking out. I'm like, you have no idea, like you have no idea what. And then they're like, well, how do you read the 89 earthquake? I go, oh yeah, I have a good story. Then I don't tell the story that much, but it was pretty funny.
I can't even imagine the pool. Gosh, that would be so
crazy.
Scary.
So crazy.
Should we move into the now since there's so many cool things to ask about?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I appreciate that story, Bill, because that is for Kari, because Kari was on the other side of the world, so she didn't have the fun of watching the ground potentially open up and swallow people. So
I mean, we had fun that night. Make no mistake, we took advantage of we partied.
We did.
There
was a little
bonfires,
lawless, but it wasn't over the top.
No. And it was. I mean, it was definitely the school. Like talk about like going to like with that some school shootings going on in college, Brown and Brown, because my kid was back east. Like some of the like there was like the schools planning for an earthquake there was no like back in '89 there was no like plan, like there was no plans, like, oh, everything's shut down. Like what are you gonna do with 500 kids have no place to stay. There's no way to communicate with them. They were just like walking around. We let people stay at our house that night. A bunch of girls from like your area, Kari, like up in Portland, they stayed there. They just like, hey guys, crash out here. I felt bad for them. It was like my do-gooder vibe in me. And it was like, you guys just crash at our house. And it was like, we didn't even know who they were. We just met them. And we stayed friends with them actually after, because it was like such a traumatic experience. And so it was very funny.
How lucky they were to find such nice people to do that. I was thinking about it because you're right. With our kids now, I mean, they find out about things as they're happening.
Yeah.
In France, it was the middle of the night, and we were not all hearing about it until the next day. And we were all hearing different things, and they were way beyond what was actually like thousands dead. Like we were hearing just crazy things trickle in, and it was taking a while to hear from people. And my siblings, who both graduated from Santa Clara, lived in the area. So my parents were trying to reach them and then tell me that they were okay. It was
totally landlines. Yeah.
landlines.
No, it was there was. I mean, I guess they had some sort of planning, but it was lawlessness, and it was definitely like otherworldly for a few days there, as AJ remembers, I'm sure.
Sounds fun as well.
It was
kind of fun. It was just so different. It was kind of fun and weird, but yeah, it was good.
Fun and weird, but if you were in Watsonville, it wasn't so fun. I mean, I think that was it was rough. I think anytime you kind of roll through those natural disasters, and especially ones that you can't predict, like you don't get a heads up on an earthquake, right? So
right. The after is what sounds fun. The during sounds horrible.
The during's not. The after sometimes either. And I think a lot of people really worked hard to kind of pull the Bay Area back together. And also big props to people that engineered SWIG, engineered Buck. The engineering went a long way to preventing deaths. Like if that would have been in another country where you didn't have that kind of smarts, you'd have just it'd be horrific. The casualty level would be so much higher. So anyhow, so look, tell us about since after playing your final season of football in 90, 90, it would have been 91, right? So 91. 35 years, Bill, where are we? It's like you're now the current, you're the head counsel at SciComp. You've been in the .com boom bust of the Silicon Valley for the better part of 30 years. Like, tell us about you kind of like your day to day now. And like, was there a moment somewhere along the way where you're like, yeah, this is exactly what I should be doing? Like, this is, obviously you had a tremendous run at your previous organization in 20 plus years. That's a career, right? So, how did you end up in law? I mean, and then tell us about what that journey's been like.
Yeah, no. So I'll go back to like that 1991, 92 area first, because right after school we went and I did there was a guy named Matt Shaw who's class 89 and those guys. I went and played in France for a year with Tony Evenson. Big shout out to Tony, still buddy of mine, CFO of Manpower, big hitter, super successful guy, very close friend of mine because at Santa Clara, but also we lived together in Paris for like 10 months. And we did it with Jared Wagner, did it the year before that, and Tom Kelly was out over there, Dominic Fortino, a bunch of football guys played in, and it was, my dad was like, dude, like, what are you gonna do? Like, I thought you were gonna go to law school. I'm like, no, I played football my senior year. I'm in my 5th year, so I want to go do this. And it was going to be Modest and kind of fell through the mess. And Evenson's like, I'm going. I was like, for sure you are, dude. It's going to be the best experience of our life. I remember telling Tony as we're flying back, we're looking at each other. We're like, dude, that was the best experience of our life. And we just joked. I was with him on 4th of July this year and down in San Diego with he and his daughters with my son. And he was like, dude, you remember when you said that on the plane? I go, oh, I'll never remember that. And it was the truest point. So we played football for over there and then full circle moment. So giving you a full circle now on that, but then I'll get to your other question. But I recently, Tommy McKernan's son played football at Whitworth, very good player. He would have been a great Santa Clara guy back in the day. Yep. I was like, hey, dude, I have friends that I played with actually that are still GMs and like coaches of teams. And my boy was one of the guys I play with in Paris back in the day. He runs a team in Nice, and I go, hey, I want you to try this thing. So we basically set it up, and the guy's playing there right now. He's in Nice right now, living there. And and it's every story. Like, I mean, the French are to go. I know Kari just mentioned something about Paris. Someone was in Paris. Like, I was a Bay Area guy my whole life, and it was the best experience of my life because it gave me a worldly mentality. And people don't, most Americans, Californians don't have that. So I think it was invaluable experience from both a sporting and fun time. I had, fun. We party, we lived like kings there. We went to every bouncer, every club. I walked into clubs like it was like a movie, dude. It was like a freaking rock star movie, like insane in Paris. I knew every club. I could walk in any club like this. What's up, peeps? It was crazy, dude. We had girlfriends, like all that, the whole schmear, the whole enchilada. You can imagine. It was great. I was like the quarterback of the Prairies football team. Like it was insane. So it was every story you could think of was epic. Like it was all true. But I'm like, hey, let's I sent a couple guys over. I was kind of an pseudo agent for this team, for these guys. I sent a couple other players over. There was like some stuff that happened. Guys got hurt a couple of times, and one of my guys left because he missed his girlfriend. So I was like, I got kind of persona non grata over there. They kind of zixed me because my players, I was an agent, the unpaid agent. I wasn't even getting paid. They kind of fell apart. But so fast forward 30 years later, I'm like, hey, dude, I got this kid for you. And the guy's like, really? So I sent film. McKernan was a good player. His kid's a very good player. His uncles were good players at Boise State. Like those kid's a baller. So he's loving it over there. So then I go full circle back. So then I'm over there in Paris. My sister was in law school at UOP, McGeorge. And I was going to go to Santa Clara and maybe McGeorge, or I was going to go to, I forget, it was like Tulane or something, which probably would have been a good call. But so but this is before like the internet, and I was trying to figure out how to apply. My dad was like forging my applications for me because we have the same name going back. My dad was William Rainey the Jr. I was William Rainey the Third. My son's William Rainey the Fourth. So we got all that stuff. I got applied. I got accepted. I got a little scholarship money. I flew back in at the end of summer, went straight to, I'd missed the first 4 days of school, went straight, lived with my sister until I could get an apartment by myself. It was just crazy world from Paris, trying to get around with French and everything else, straight into Sacramento, California. It was like 108 degrees. I'm like, what in the F happened to my life? I mean, I'm not a big Sacto guy. No offense to Sacto people, but I did my 3 years there and got the freak out of there. But a great story. So give you my full circle story. This will get back. I'll go back to your legal questions in a sec. But like 2 weeks ago, I'm sitting. No, my career stuff. But 2 weeks ago, you'll love this full circle story. I'm sitting here. I get a call. When any of my former players call me, like guys I coached, I always answer the phone because some of them, remember, as you mentioned, I was a public defender back in my past life. So I know a little bit about criminal law. And I coached at some places. I coached at Yerba Buena High School in San Jose where I had some trouble. Then I coached at Mountain View for a year, Lynbrook for a long time. So anyway, I get this call from this guy, my old quarterback from Lynbrook High, who I talk to occasionally, very successful guy. And I'm like, Greg, what's up? He goes, oh my God, coach. He literally calls me coach. Mind you, he's 35 years old and he's a state assemblyman. His name is Greg Wallace, out of the down in Southern California area. I forget the area. It's one of the deserty area, Palm Desert area, I think, down by there. Yeah. So he's down there. He's like, hey, I have some people that want to talk to you. So full circle moment. He puts on speaker. It's John Doherty from Santa Clara, who lived on my freshman fourth floor swig with me. Catherine Stephanie, who I went to law school with, who's a big hitter assemblywoman for state of California, San Francisco district person back in the day. 35-year-old ex-high school quarterback, that guy that I coached from Lynbrook High School in Saratoga, Campbell area. Insane. And they're all talking together. I'm like, one question, how in the F did you guys, my name come up? He's like, you're not, it was like, there was a crazy story. It's too long to go into now. How they started talking about me. Crazy story. Anyway, that's the full circle moment on that one. Now I'll go back to your question, but it was very ironic. So I talked to Doherty for a while. Great dude. Obviously he's a super affable guy. Very, very, very good dude. And Catherine's a hitter. She's a stud. She's very cool and very well known, very, very deep in the Democratic Party. And the ironic thing about it is Greg Wallace, the guy is a Republican. He's down SoCal. So I was like, thinking back later, I'm like, dude, what are you guys talking to? I would love to be at that table. But anyway, that was the political side of it. But it was a very, very funny full circle, like all aspects of my life, law school, Santa Clara, and then my hobby of coaching all came around in a very unique and funny way. So going back now, answering your question. Sorry, I've full circle. I went all the way.
I
I
love
went
it.
too crazy.
You
But
cover your whole
but
life in just one meeting there,
yeah,
Bill.
yeah, no, totally. And it was just, and he's like, I can't believe you answered the phone. And no, actually, I think Doherty's like, I can't believe you answered the phone because it was like, like 7:00 at night or like on a Thursday or Wednesday. And I'm like, I always answer my former players anyway. So I'm now so now I get out of law school, blah blah blah. I got kind of I was like, I'm going to be a trial lawyer. It was during all the TV shows were on. So I tried the 20 some odd jury trials as I was a PD for like 4 years. But I as an athlete, I freaking hated losing. Like I was going to be a DA, but I was more of a P. I like the PD, and because I grew up in a pretty mixed high school, and I saw some stuff happen to some kids that I didn't really like, and it was like and I could go on a diatribe on how opportunities are different for people that look differently than the three of us look. So I'm like, listen, I'm going to help these guys out for a few years, and I did, and I thought I did a decent job because I looked like my first thing I'd get at any trial, I'd go, Judge, if they tell anyone I'm a public defender, I'm going to ask for a mistrial because because it was kind of a dig on being a PD, but it was also showing that the client couldn't afford a lawyer. So that was a dig on them. And they're like, oh, they're taking county funds and blah, blah, blah. So that was because I looked like a DA. You know what I'm saying? I had like good hair back then. I had like better suits than the
Really
DAs.
good hair.
Yeah. I had good hair back in the day. I had better suits than everyone. So that was my move. But I did that for 4 years. But I had as an athlete, I hate losing more than I like to win, and it was just got on me. My wife's like, dude, this shit's killing you, Bill. Like you gotta do something else. So going back full circle to my Santa Clara connection, or it was really before that, but Mark Scanina was working as a lawyer, and I knew some of the sales guys at this company, Intertrust. .com era running. They're like pre-IPO, so I start tracking them. Get in there right around the time of the IPO. I helped out with the secondary offering, huge .com thing, and then of course it fell out right at the bust of 05, 06, 07. But for those few years, it was fun. We were rocking and rolling. I was running like a $50 million micro fund, mini fund. That was a little bit later, but that was a little after the .com bust. That was like in the 2010. But it was definitely Silicon Valley at its finest. And then I was with Tom. So going back to the other Santa Clara connection, Tom, we used SciComp at Intertrust, and it was like, hey, I'm going to watch this company. These guys the sales girl here is better than our salesperson at my big tech company. And I was like, hey, I'm going to track this company. So, fast forward like X number of years later, and I'm like, Tom, dude, what are you guys doing? Well, you guys need a lawyer, dude. You guys are getting too big. He's like, it's funny that you say that. I was going to ask you if you want to come work there. So it all kind of like a year or so later, it all kind of worked out. But it's definitely deep in tech. Our clients are all big Fortune 50 tech companies, and we're in the IT space, reseller. We have entities around the world. So every day it's not boring, which is good for me. As you can tell, I'm an excitable cat, and every day is a freaking Easter eggs. Every day, insane, crazy, worldwide problems. And it's not for the faint of heart, but it's definitely it's a good gig. The thing about now for the younger kids, like I still get calls all the time. You guys can appreciate this. Some of the guys' names I've mentioned, I won't mention the names again. Their kids are wanting to go to law school, and I was always a big pump up guy for like, hey, go. I'm now for the first time, I'm a little bit worried about AI and about AI and like how it's going to affect. I think it'll be okay, but I'm a little more circumspect now, like giving advice to, hey, go to law school now. I think it's that case for everything. I think it's for software engineering. There's that for accounting, finance. I think that's all going to kind of be affected in a way. I don't know how it's going to be affected, but it's going to be an interesting situation for even for lawyers, because I think it's going to be the cream of the crop will be okay, but for a lot of the grinder guys, even like I wasn't like a, I'm not I wasn't like a Phi Beta Kappa or anything like that. I was a smart enough guy and did fine and get past the bar the first time and all that stuff. But like it could be tough for some guys going to law school now. So I'm actually a little more circumspect, like I said, when people call me. I'm still recommending going to law school, I think, but it's getting closer. It's getting closer now. So, which is tough.
I was thinking it was so funny when you said legal questions. Like, we should turn this into a call-in show for.
Yeah. I was before that. My sister's a very well-known divorce attorney in Santa Clara County. So, and I worked with her a little bit when I first got out of school. And so I've seen all, and before that, and then between those two things, I worked in child dependency court, which was people that get their kids taken away for abuse. Like that was that was something I did. That was a year of that. I was in Orange County, down in Orange County and up in Santa Clara County. And I couldn't have done that if I had kids. It was just so like the stuff that
Mm,
I saw at 27, 26 years old was like
right.
scarring, dude. Like, I'm an emotional kind of guy. Like it was like, put it this way, there was a lot of times I would hold my files in my right hand so I didn't have to shake people's hands, my clients' hands.
Yeah.
It was, it was a,
I,
it was a very, very tough environment. And it's kudos to all those guys that are still doing that stuff. I think I still have some colleagues that are still fighting the good fight in that world. I know that the PDs are still fighting the good fight. And shout out to Chris Height, who was my year at Santa Clara, who was a PD in San Francisco and now is a
yeah.
judge in San Francisco. Shout out to
Yeah.
him. He was he would all we every time I'd see him we would laugh because I was a PD in San Jose in a very different demographics in San Francisco. He won all his cases. The DAs were there's a flip story over there. The DAs lost most of their cases and the PDs it was much more liberal up there than it was in Santa Clara County. So
Yeah.
it was a fast track for him. And so he's still a judge and he's doing great. And I've seen him recently and it's good on him. So good
I was
stuff.
I was just connecting with Gina Finicchio this morning. She says hi, by the way, and
Oh,
I was
nice. Yeah,
telling
yeah, yeah.
her
That's good.
out of college after JVC, I was working in like, high poverty communities with kids. And I remember thinking, I'm not going to have kids. I'm going to these will be my kids for now.
Yeah,
Because
no,
it
no,
was
totally.
just to see so much struggle. Oh my gosh. I love that you did that work. Speaking of kids, I
Yep.
I have 3 boys, and they grew up
Oh,
playing
nice.
all kinds of sports. Because of my background and my husband's background, it was so important to us that they had that experience, and coaches were such a big part of, like, what shaped my kids into
Yep.
being who they are, and I love that you've been doing that for 25 years. I can't imagine you have the time, but I I can't imagine that's something you would do that long if it wasn't giving something to you, and I'm
Oh,
just
for sure
curious
for
if
me.
you
I
could.
mean, I do it for the kids, but I really, it's the only thing I do it's only really the only thing I do for fun, really. I mean, I work and I work out and I do all that stuff, but it's mine. I party and I have a bunch of friends and we go out to dinners and drink and I'm still that side of it. But for like a full hobby, that's all I do. So it's like a 7 month period, but I do it. It's mainly for me. I mean, it's for them, but it's mainly for me, right? It's my do-gooder part. Like it's the stuff I don't get to do as a PD anymore. But it's like I love it. Like I went back. I coached varsity for a long time, but I came to Bellarmine. I started off as a freshman because my son was playing varsity football, and he's like, "Dad, I know they've been asking you to coach here for years," and he's like, "Yeah, you can coach at Bellarmine, you can't coach with me." And I'm like, "No, dude, I would never do that to you, bro. Like, I would never do that to you." So I started off in freshman for 5 years there. Then I went on varsity for 2 years, and I came back down. I was like, the kids. It's just a different age group, but those kids are beta breath. I'm like a player, as you can imagine. I'm a player's coach guy. I treat the kids like like I wanted to be treated when I was coached, and not how I'm not a big yeller guy. I am one for guys that like I can thin slice kids to say what motivates them. Like kids can read people, right? Like kids can tell if you care, and they know I care. So and they so I for the but some kids have to get yelled at. Like there's some kids that like that's all they can respond to. But most kids, you just say, hey, listen, especially at schools like Bellarmine and even at Lynbrook, they're smart kids. They know when they make a mistake. So my mentality is always like, how the fuck would I want to be treated right now if I made that? I mean, I'm like physical mistakes, I have no problems. It's the mental mistakes. That's the only thing I would mention them. But but I have bonds from guys like, yeah, I still got called from that guy. I get calls from people I coached 20 years ago, like advice stuff, and you made a difference in my life. I get emails from guys. It's great. No, I do it for them, but they do more for me. So
I mean, you just reminded me too, and when I was in DC, we'd have to sometimes, like, go check in with the parents if they weren't if a kid was struggling, and I was working in the DC public schools, and sometimes the parents' response to, stuff was like, "Well, then I'm just not gonna let him play football," and I'd be like,
yeah, geez,
actually, that is the one place, I think that belonging and that discipline is exactly what your child needs right now, and
yeah, no,
we would
exactly.
we would always push back on the take like whatever. We're not going to interfere with your parenting, but taking sports away is such a mistake.
Yeah, no, no, exactly. I mean, like when I was coaching at one of the inner city schools at Yerba Buena, like at the end of the year, I took my two quarterbacks out to dinner. They'd never gone to a steakhouse. They'd never had a fancy restaurant. I had to teach them how to use the forks and knives. Like it was crazy, but it was like it still gets me like years later, right? It's like it's real. Like this is 20 years ago, so it's
Yeah.
good stuff.
Yeah. So, Bill, I mean, I think it's clear. It's clear to me. Obviously, you got two of your own that are clearly pretty driven. I think you and Libby have done an amazing job. I love the fact your daughter's thinking about sports psychology, and I think that it's a massive place for a lot. Athletes need a lot of help. Like kind of said, we understand the physical, and as you and I have both played,
Yeah.
some pretty high level sports. Like it's the mental, man, and so that's amazing. And then you got a kid that's running track and field, and that's a pretty lonely sport on some
It's a
level.
mental game
And
too. Exactly.
that's all up here, right? So, what's it like for you in the Rainey household? Like now you and Libby are empty nesters, but like, what did I love the fact that you not only gave it up for your kids, but I think by you putting your time back into others, I mean, it's like you end up getting a lot more kids than you ever thought you would, right? I mean, I
Yeah.
think that's
No.
the kind of
Totally.
funny thing, and sometimes you can coach them, and sometimes you can't. But like, how's that how's that how's that world been for you as a parent, and then now as an empty nester? Like, how's that transition going too? Like,
Yeah. No.
that's kind of like
Exactly.
a lot
Well.
of kind of subtext in there, but like, how
Yeah,
is that?
no, it's freaking quiet, brother. It's freaking quiet in the house. That's the main thing. But like that's the real story. But like going back, my daughter is kudos to her. She could do whatever she wants. She's like, as we know, we talked about like the IQ levels of like, or just the maturity levels of boys and girls. Like it's crazy. But my daughter had 5 knee surgeries. My daughter was I was a decent athlete. My son's a good athlete. My daughter was a real athlete, but she had both ACLs gone. Soccer player, real good. Played at Archbishop Midi Soccer. 5 knee surgeries starting 7th grade to senior year. She had both ACLs out, and it just got to her traumatic. Like it was bad. She got real down, real depressed, really bad, really bad. If you get my drift. So she overcame it, which is great. She went to Whittier and set her own major. She basically became it was like a program where you could set your own major. She became a sports psychology major, created her own program, had to do a dissertation, defend her dissertation in a big meeting down there. It was a big presentation. It was awesome. But kudos to her for her driving force, and she does it with high school students now, injured and retired students, because she's lived it, right? And she didn't have the help from, there was no one that was doing that. I mean, there was therapists and stuff, but they weren't sports based. So she's giving back that kind of mentality, and it's the job opportunities are amazing. If you look around, like the BFC team has just hired a new sports psychology. Every sporting team has some sort of sport or performance psychology program. So she made the whole proverbial making lemonade out of lemons. That's what she decided to do. She's like, listen, I can't control my injuries. I'm never going to be able to play again, but I can help someone else to do that. So, so kudos to her. She's very, very, very smart and very driven, and she'll be super successful. And she's in Denver right now. Hopefully she sees this video at some point, but no, she's wonderful. And I think that if going back to your main question, like as I said, it's freaking quiet, brother. The house is quiet. So, my wife loves this coach. It's football season for me because my company, it's a global company, but the whole Silicon Valley concept of working from home is stuck. I only go in the office 1 day a week. So I'm in this freaking chair sitting here 4 days a week on calls, mostly talking, but also, dealing with insane stuff, legal stuff and compliance stuff and HR stuff around the world all day long. But I'm here. So she's upstairs. She works at Santa Clara. Like I said, she's an adjunct professor. She gets out of the house once in a while, but it's really quiet. So I know that like half the people listening to this podcast, all the class of 91, they're going through the same kind of stuff with retirement and everything else. So it's my wife. I used to golf a little bit, so I've taken up golf. My wife is probably arguably almost a better golfer than me now. She's taking golf lessons she takes a golf lesson with another Santa Clara grad, Sarah McHenry Briette, Josh Briette. I don't know if he's a rugby guy, good friends of ours. That's a good friend of hers. She's class of like 93 or 94. I forget. Sarah's younger than us, but very funny. But but it really goes back to how my sanity, the coaching high school football is the thing that keeps me like, that's my guide. It's my fun. It's my give back. It kind of keeps me going for the year. And it's only like 6 months a year, whatever, but it's freshman. It's not that, it's less time intensive because it got really hard. Like, as you noted, like it's really hard to be a football coach. Like when I was coaching before, my buddy was the head coach at Lynbrook with the Greg Wallace, quarterback guy. So I would send him stuff. Emails were going on in 2007, 2008, like back in the day. But like, so I would set a plan. I just was a guy in the box calling the plays. But now at Bellarmine, I'm, on the field and like really coaching these kids. And it's that keeps me sane. If I didn't have that, I don't know what I would do. I mean, I would work out every morning, like, so still type A psychopath. But like, I think it's really the coach, and it's a give back. And it's as I said, as you could tell from me, get a little emotional on it because they get stuff from me. I help them out. I think I'm a decent coach. I give them skills. I give them life lessons. But I think they give me more than I give them. So that's what kind of keeps it going for me.
This is this has just been so fun to like get all these sides of you that I wouldn't have known if we didn't do this. This is so cool.
No, it's cool. Yeah.
We're gonna move into, just to watch the time and respect your time, we're gonna move into our fun and fast 5, and we're still working on making these fast. So
I'm a long talker, so yeah, I'm
just
sure
whatever. No, I mean this fast 5 part. So like we ask 5 quick questions and you get to say whatever comes to mind first. So first one, what are you currently binge watching or reading?
Oh, The Pit. I like the Mayors of King. I was just telling guys, Mayors of Kingstown, The Pit, all those. I mean, all those streaming shows are great. I went and saw a movie last night. We saw Crime 101 with that Australian guy. He was actually pretty good, and Halle Berry's in it. It was actually not a bad movie, but we went to the movies last night. So Libby and I and another couple.
Chris Hemsworth,
yeah, it was good.
Great, Chris.
But yeah, I like all those streaming shows. Like, I think we're watching Hijacked even now. Like, it's whatever's new, we just binge them all and knock them out. So those are my latest. The Pit's good though. I like The Pit. That's an intense show. Like, Jesus, that's like so scary and crazy.
Here's question 2. What's a movie you can quote without even thinking about it?
Oh, Fast Times at Ridgemont High, brother. Yeah, that's one of the best.
What's your quote from that movie? Because there's so many quotable moments.
It's the whole our time, my time. It's Mr. Hand. Mr. Hand. Yeah. I mean, that's one of the best movies ever. I even ask the kids now. I'm like, even the kids I coach now. I'm like, bros, you got to watch. I tell them to watch Crazy Stupid Love for that, just because it's a good. I like that. It's whatever her name is. I forget her actress's name now, but like, it's great, and it's like a good relationship movie. And it's like, in the high school guys, I'm like, dude, watch that movie. It's freaking great. It's a good movie. And then I go back to like, dude, you have to watch Fast Times at Ridgemont High, because that'll give you what I was like when I was in high school. Or it was a little earlier than that, but like I think we were in 8th grade when that movie came out. But no, the best part is I saw that movie. It was a crazy story. I was in a bowl game with a bunch of LA football players from LA, and they came to San Jose. And then we went to my mom dropped us off at Oak Ridge Mall in San Jose to see the movie, but it was rated R, and they wouldn't let it in. So they're like, my mom's like, they won't let me buy the tickets without me going to the movie. So I'm in that movie watching Fast Times at Ridgemont High, and my mom is in the back row, and I'm with a bunch of like kids I didn't even know, a bunch of very athletic running back type guys from LA. They were like laughing their asses off, and I was like this, mortified. My mom's in there watching the movie with my mom 5 rows behind me, just going, oh my God. But it's a great movie. So, and I still tell the kids to watch it to see what it's like to be like in the 80s.
How good is that you went to the movies with your mom, and your mom had to vouch for you and go take you to a rated R movie? I remember those days too. I remember those days too very well.
Totally. Street cred.
I think my favorite quote from that movie is, make up your mind, dude. Is he going to shit or is he going to kill us?
Totally.
First he's going to shit, and then he's going to kill us.
Yeah, exactly.
Jefferson,
I mean, there's all the other Damone stuff. The Damone stuff is not appropriate for this, but it's really the Damone. Damone's actions are the best part of that. But yeah,
my kids quote that movie. They love it.
That's awesome.
Okay, next
next question.
Oh, wait. Yeah.
What's your go-to karaoke song?
Bro, I mean, I'm not a singer, dude. I have a raspy ass voice. I'm not a good. I mean, it's funny that you say that. There was I'm trying to think of the song. Tony Chikoki, remember Chikoki, the football coach, best guy ever. We had a big thing for his brother.
On the planet. Yep.
He didn't remember this story because he and I have one thing in common. We both have a little CTE. So we worked at coaching camp for Santa Clara Santa Clara like sports camps. I did it with Coach Cummins, the baseball coach, and Tony and I did it one year. We sang "It's Too Good to Be True." I can't take my eyes off of you. That song, and we a cappella in front of like.
I love you, baby. That's the Santa Clara rugby song.
Yeah,
that's our
Yeah.
It's our Santa Clara crooner, dude.
No way. Yeah, that's probably why. I mean, that's why he probably knew that maybe. But we sang in front of like 200 kids, and the kids were like, they loved it. And we of course we had to get a little pregame. We had to have a pregame pops because we were like, and Tony was like totally nervous. She's like, we're gonna have some beers. I'm like, okay. I think I was I might even been 21 at the time, but it was like summer. It was so epic drinking with my coach, trying to get keyed up to like sing this song to a bunch of these kids. I'm not a great singer. House of Pain is my favorite song in the world. That was a little after Santa Clara. It was like 92, 93. And I told my family that to play that. There'll be bagpipes at my funeral, and then that song will be played, pouring it out on that song.
We're all gonna jump around. Is that what's going on?
That's it. That's my. Anytime that song comes on, anyone that knows me goes Rainey every time. So
I like that's a good. It's funny because Kari and I just traded. We had a whole thing about what's your funeral song. So we're glad that we thought that was a little morbid, but we kind of talked about that as a funny fast five. And the irony is that you just spit out your funeral song. And
totally, I totally did.
It feels like we validate our own experience. So thank you, Bill, for bringing up.
So
You're welcome.
What's your go-to funeral
that was
song?
Not cooked. That wasn't
Jump
cooked
around.
either.
No, I mean, I can imagine a whole church, just House of Pain in it, jump around, and then here you come down. They wheel you out.
That's it, dude. That's it. It's all planned. My kids promised me they'll do it, and I have buddies that are secondary guys that will outlive me. They're a little younger. They said it will happen. I promise.
That's awesome. Okay, next question. If you weren't a lawyer and you can't say football coach, what's a totally different career in an alternate universe you might have pursued? And skills don't need to apply.
Well, I really was, and I made a mistake. I wanted to be an agent. I know it's kind of similar to being a lawyer, but I had an opportunity, and my whole life would have been, but trajectory of my life would have changed dramatically. I interviewed with Lee Steinberg's outfit at the time, and they had an office in Berkeley. He was merged with this Jeff Morad, who was a McGeorge grad, and I interviewed with them when I sought my third year of law school, but I was still in my third year. I hadn't graduated yet. And another guy from freaking McGeorge, because this guy, the more I liked McGeorge for whatever, and he liked us. I was down to me and this other guy who'd already graduated and he was taking the bar. I think he passed the bar on the second try. He played football I don't remember the guy's name, but I remember he was like a fullback from University of Miami of Ohio. And I always thought I was a little smarter than him because I'd talked to the guy. He was kind of just a guy, I get my drift. And I never tracked it. I forget his name, so I never even tracked what he did. But they gave him the job, and I was like, I don't know if this is in for me, because you had to do a lot of stuff with money, and there was not bribing, but you had to pay for stuff for athletes, and I was like, I don't have that kind of money. But my trajectory, my whole life would have been different had I gotten that job. I think I could have done a good job in that world too as an agent.
That's so cool.
So that's my alternate universe, and I guess I'm not too old to do it now, but it's a whole different world now with all the NIL and that stuff. It's just a different world. It's a little past me, but that's my alternate universe, and probably wish I had done that in another lifetime. But
awesome. Okay, hey, last question. If you could have coffee, tea, or a bourbon with one famous, historical, they didn't have to be famous, historical figure from history, who would you like to have a sit down with or bump?
That's a good one. Let me think. Probably someone like one of the founding fathers of the UI, just to see, just to talk to those guys on how, they just took cojones, dude. You're gonna, even any of those guys that came over, even our people that came over from our forefathers, even my great grandpas or whatever, they came over, they left Ireland and Scotland. My crew, for my guys, they had nothing. I mean, some of them had some stuff. One of my people had a little bit of stuff, and they came over, their whole family. But just to you're on a freaking ship, dude. What do you think? What do they expect to happen? Do they have any contacts? More so if the true answer is someone probably George Washington or someone just to get their vibe on how much of a forethought they had, what they expected the U.S. to look like. What was their plan? Because I think it was all kind of in motion. I don't think there was a plan. I would love to hear how they were, and then going through a long conversation at the end of the life, how do they deal with the stuff with the England and the crown and all that, just to hear all that stuff. It's kind of cool for me. I'm not a big history guy. My kid's a big history guy, but I think it would be pretty cool to see, and even then go to World War II stuff and talk to Churchill and that stuff, just to kind of how like it just took guys that have brass balls. Like I was never a big risk taker. Like that's one of my regrets. If I talk to my younger self, like take more risks, like go out and like, I mean, as a lawyer, you're usually pretty conservative. I didn't make it. I took not the easy route, but I took the route that was kind of like, hey, here's a safer route. Like here's what you can do, be a lawyer, blah, blah, blah. But I didn't take enough. I didn't jump to enough companies and take risks that way. And just to talk to someone who, like all those entrepreneurial guys now and all the, just to see to see their mentality on how what's their thought process and how they can live with like taking all that risk. I marvel at that, and I wish I could imparted that to my kids, and I just wasn't who I was, and do as I say, not as I did. That's my mentality, and I guess I'll try that. But like it's really it's really it would be intriguing to talk to those kind of guys to see that like how they're what was their how do they weigh risks. There's just caution to the wind, because I think it was like some of those guys just took risks and they're like, fuck it, I'll figure out the answer, and if I can't fake it till I make it, Silicon Valley style, 100 years ago or whatever. So anyway,
So,
that's
Bill,
my
you
answer.
actually just answered my second part of this wrap up, which is really great. Is that if you could go back and give your graduating SCU self one piece of advice, what would it be? And I love it. You just
Yep.
nailed it. I don't even think we need to revisit it because
Yeah.
it was perfect and succinct.
Yep.
And yeah, take risks. I love it.
Yep. No, exactly.
I'm assuming you'll be at the reunion.
I will. I got some email and I forgot. I'm spacing. I was trying to think of the guy's name. He sent me an email or two. It was one of them. I don't know if it's assigned by last names. Yes, I will.
Nicholas Scoville, he's coming for you.
Yeah.
He's coming for us
Yeah.
all. He's coming.
Yeah.
I'm meeting with him this week. It's all good.
Yeah.
I don't think Kari's been contacted though. I think Kari must have fallen off the list. She might be in like witness protection for class of 91. I don't know what's happening.
I have really no excuse.
It's funny because it's not like I don't give, but yeah, they don't have me on any list. I'll keep it that way. I don't know.
Yeah. No,
This was
I
so
will.
great.
I will try to go, AJ, for see all you guys, especially now. I will. I will have to make my. I haven't gone to many, but I will make my presence felt.
Well, this was great.
Who else are you going to bring? Who else do you want to see there? Like you've given about 10,000 shout outs, which I love. I mean, people should listen to this episode just to know that they've been uttered. Their name's been uttered out in the universe. But like, who would you like to see at the reunion you haven't seen in a while?
I mean, all my guys, all the baseball guys and football guys, man. I mean, all the trainers. I still see. I think Terry Jacks might be coming on. I don't know if she's coming on. I mean, I spent a ton. I was, as I said, I have the pre-CTE probably. I was a guy that I was Humpty Dumpty. They had to put back together a lot in football, and in baseball had shoulder surgery 10 years after playing. Just destroyed I was in the training room a little bit, so I was super close to them. Dr. Shannon McDonald, she gets a shout out. She was hopefully I just saw all of them, so I'm kind of cheating. I saw them at that Santa Clara thing for Chikoki's brother, which was super nice, and it was a great way to get back, and because we don't get to do any alumni stuff anymore from a football perspective. And baseball, I got to see those guys a couple years ago. We got together, which was awesome. All the baseball dudes, sad that we lost Andy Solomon and Bill Enos. Those guys, that was class of 91. Solomon, class of 90 with Bill Enos. Sad. Both died of cancer. But yeah, so it's good. I just hopefully those guys, and then everyone. I saw Todd Pastorini at the just ironically enough, who is a fellow Bronco and a football guy. I saw him at the Golden Circle, which was super fun. So that's some more shout outs for you.
Love it.
And then some other guys. I had classes other guys. I live around the corner from oh my god, I'm spacing. Oh my god, Servino. John Servino, I forgot his name. Servino lives around the corner from me, so I see him occasionally. I'm sure he'll be around.
Servino's on my list. Pastorini's on my list. We're coming for you. You're going to be on this podcast eventually. Yeah, I love it,
dude. That's awesome. No, it's good stuff.
Well, thank you so much for the time. It was really fun to get to know you better, and I look forward to seeing you and all the people you mentioned. So many great
callbacks. That's awesome. A lot of shout outs, I know. Hope I don't get in trouble for that, but that's all good.
No, that's part about being that's part about being a Bronco, man. I mean, I think you kind of nailed it. I think there's that whole thing about it. Bronco people are smart, but all smart, but there's a certain heart, a certain soul to the crew. And no matter what, you say Santa Clara and it kind of puts a smile on your face and kind of, hopefully for most people puts a little warm spot there. And,
for sure.
I appreciate it. And you did not disappoint. I'm glad this is your first podcast.
Yeah,
I'm
first
glad you
one,
came and
brother.
spent all the time with me and Kari. Mike and Charles missed out. I want you to take care of that CTE.
Yeah.
I'm pulling for you, and I think it is something that, no, I mean, I'm dead serious,
No, I
man.
know.
It is,
It's not good.
we get one go around, and I want nothing but the best for you. And, it's just so great to be, Broncos. And it's so clear how much you represented us on the field, off the field, and you're still doing good work out in the community. So thanks, Billy.
That's
Really
good.
appreciate you.
You're welcome, guys. It's
Yes.
great to talk to you guys this morning. Yeah.
And for those of you listening, if you've been enjoying this podcast, you can find every episode of Crossing the Alameda on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, and Spotify. Just search Crossing the Alameda on any of those platforms and you'll find us.
As we like to say, what do we say? Go Broncos.
Go Broncos.
Go Broncos.
Love you guys. Be good. We'll see you on the
Bye-bye.
next
Thanks,
episode of
guys.
Crossing the Alameda.
Awesome.
Bye.